This week on Vaticano, from Castle Gandolfo, Pope Benedict XVI speaks of Jesus Christ as the greatest miracle of the universe. Bishops from Colombia speak of their nation as they visit Rome. The Vatican spokesman explains the Holy See's multi-million-dollar deficit in 2011. A summer school for aspiring astronomers takes place in the Pope's backyard. And the third annual International Catholic Film Festival is hosted in Rome. This and the story of these folks who converted to Catholicism as a family, coming up on Vaticano. These pilgrims and faithful gave Pope Benedict XVI a warm welcome on June the 8th. He was leading the Angelus prayer from his hilltop residence at Castle Gandolfo for the first time this summer. In his message to accompany the prayer, he talked about the gospel of the day and Jesus' difficulty of being accepted as a prophet among his own people.
The evangelist writes that Jesus was amazed at their lack of faith. In the face of the astonishment of his fellow citizens, who are scandalized, Jesus responds with amazement. In a certain sense, he is also scandalized. Despite knowing that no prophet is well accepted in his homeland, nevertheless, the closure of the hearts of his people is dark and impenetrable to him. How is it possible that they do not recognize the light of truth? Why don't they open themselves to the goodness of God, who wished to share their humanity? Effectively, the man Jesus of Nazareth is the transparency of God. God lives fully in him. And while we always seek further signs and wonders, we realize that the true sign is him, God made flesh. He is the greatest miracle of the universe. All the love of God enclosed in the human heart, in the face of man. She who truly understood this reality was the Virgin Mary, blessed because she believed. Mary was not scandalized by her son. Her wonder for him is full of faith, full of love and joy, to see him so human and at the same time so divine. Let us learn from her, our mother in the faith, to recognize in the humanity of Christ the perfect revelation of God.
The Pope concluded with individual language greetings, among which was a special message for English-speaking pilgrims.
Jesus reminds us that if we live with an open and simple heart, nourished by true faith, we can recognize the presence of God in our lives and follow his holy will. I wish you a pleasant stay in Castle Gandolfo and a blessed Sunday. Buona Domenica.
Bishops from Colombia were at the Vatican in force, 39 of them altogether. They were the centre of attention here in St. Peter's Square after having given an account of their service to Pope Benedict XVI. Each man came away from the experience with a unique perspective.
For us bishops, this encounter with the Holy Father was a moment of grace and blessing. We returned to Colombia with much enthusiasm, to evangelize, to aid the poorest and most in need, and those who have fallen away, so that we might make up one single flock under one shepherd.
I told him that the Year of Faith is very special for us because our diocese is also celebrating its 10th year. Also, I told him that my mother is 95 years old and that she prays the Rosary every day for him. He told me this: I'm 10 years younger than she is. And when I said goodbye, the Pope told me, say hello to your mother. Extraordinary. I told the Pope about our problems as well, like the islands that serve as a bridge to bring drugs into the interior of the nation, from the south of the Latin American continent to the north. So we've got this problem that sometimes brings us to violence and causes very serious troubles.
The bishops have a lot of ideas about how to move toward a better future for the people of their nation.
La Iglesia está actuando con proyectos pastorales
The Church is taking action with pastoral projects to reach out to families, informing them on how men, boys, and the family itself can pick themselves up and take on a new life. We have social projects, and we were seeking out educational systems that teach men, young men, and children that there is another way to live that isn't with drugs, violence, or alcohol. With the mayor of Cucuta, we are organizing a program that reaches adolescents and young people so that they might be educated in human values, Christian values, to the person of Jesus Christ, the Church, and what they call entrepreneurship, with the goal that they won't fall easy prey to different groups.
We're in a process of strengthening faith at this point. We are evangelizing what is called popular religiosity, which is being Catholic just in name. And we've begun a process of evangelization that starts with the proclamation, what we call the kerygma, to achieve an authentic conversion in the person and a commitment to Christ. Then we are also highlighting the faith in the community, learning the sacred scriptures together and committing ourselves to building the kingdom, to then go out and preach, to announce the message of the Lord to others in a secularized world, within a broken family. We do this with a particular emphasis on forming children in the basic school of the faith, and forming young people in the school of youth evangelization, and forming lively evangelizing communities with our adults.
These were just half of Colombia's bishops. The others will be coming to visit the Pope next September. Welcome back. You're watching Vaticano. Though 2012 saw a surplus on Holy See balance sheets, last year it followed world economies into the red.
The consolidated balance for consultation of the Holy See for the year 2011 closed with a negative balance of around 15 million euro. The most significant items of expenditure were those relating to personnel, who as of December 31st, 2011 numbered 2,832, and also to the communications media considered as a whole. The result was affected by the negative trend of global financial markets, which made it impossible to achieve the goals laid down in the budget.
Much of the Holy See's finances are supported by dioceses, donations, and revenue from its holdings. They are kept on a separate balance sheet from the credits and debits of the Vatican City Governoriate, which saw a €27 million surplus. Much of this came from the profits of an increase in visitors to the Vatican museums. According to the Holy See's spokesman, the Holy See's financial situation is just a cyclical downturn.
In the previous year, 2010, there was a positive balance of 9.8 million euro. In 2009, there was a loss of 4 million, and in 2008, there was a negative balance of almost 1 million. In 2007, there was a loss of almost 2 million. So it's a balance that has its oscillations that depend on various circumstances. This year, as it says in the Holy See's statement, the change is due in large part to the negative trend in world financial markets. That is, the value of investments in financial markets have decreased with respect to previous years. This doesn't surprise anyone, I don't think, knowing how things have gone in the world in which we live.
So not even the Holy See is immune from the economic downturn that is striking southern Europe particularly hard in recent days.
שמתפרס על פני מקומות רבים.
את מחבלת?
סרט, יש כאן תור. סרט?
תור לגיהנום. אתם לא רואים שיש כאן מחבלת?
The third annual Catholic Film Festival kicked off a series of high-level discussions to debate the role of cinema in the Church.
This year, the festival was inaugurated by a Congress that took as its theme cinema and the new evangelization. So this constituted the opening moment of the festival.
Diciamo,
This year, the theme is more than anything a question of whether or not film aids the new evangelization. I think it does, and I also think that in difficult times, certain values also are to be highlighted because it is a moment that isn't easy for the Church, this moment. There have been many moments like this one in history, but it is really difficult for a festival like this one to find the right films today that assert certain values, as they are being lost. Anyway, for society, they are very important.
If you say you're Catholic, they run away. But if we propose Catholic values, we can pass on the values of the gospel. And, in the beginning, they don't even realize it. Like solidarity, friendship, support, being reliable, fidelity. These things, I think.
The films that took this year's Silver Fish Award put the challenges of new evangelization into perspective. For Greater Glory, a blockbuster that recounts the story of religious persecution in Mexico in the 20th century, while Andy Garcia won the award for Best Actor for his role in the film, films such as The Road to Tel Aviv and the American movie The War of the Vendée were also recognised.
Film can, on the one hand, be similar to the biblical text, which is made up of images and narratives. So the message of the Bible is entrusted to the symbols, to characters, to scenes, and even to dramatic elements. In the same way, film can represent with images what the biblical text expressed through passages and accounts. So there is a sort of solidarity and fraternity between these means of communication, which are also different. There's a word on the one hand and an image on the other.
Jesus, with his incarnation, entered into history, the history of man, all of history. So it's important that the Catholic message reaches the media because these days the media makes culture and thought go. So I think that's important for us, to be in all places.
This appointment is just the first in a series of 10 encounters that will take place from now until December 2013 in 10 major cities of the world, both in Europe and America, in Los Angeles and Rio de Janeiro, for example. All of these encounters will take the theme of cinema and new evangelization. It covers a period that's just a bit longer than the Year of Faith, instituted by the Holy Father. It intends to propose film as an efficacious, immediate, and profound instrument for the proclamation of the gospel message.
One thing is certain, films such as these will be the cause for discussion well into the future.
My sons, the martyrs of old did not die expecting a fleeting victory in this world. They sacrificed their lives, hoping only for eternal victory in the next. Are you willing to do the same?
Here on the shores of Lake Albano is the Pope's very own observatory. It's called the Specula in Italian, and for 3 weeks this summer it hosted rising stars in the world of astronomy.
I believe they come from 23 countries, and they're selected based on a very rigorous selection process. So we take really only the best students from around the world. This year there's 170 applications, and we chose the top 25 students, and so they apply, they explain why they want to attend the school, what their background is, and what they hope to get from the school, and then the committee meets and we choose the students and bring them over for the school. So what we're trying to get the students to learn is a very broad overview of what stellar clusters are, how they form, how they evolve, and how they can be used as tools to understand other things in the universe. But I think more fundamentally, what we want is we want to get the students to be excited about science, about research, and about understanding. And so that's, I think, our main goal, is just to get them excited about their future careers and hopefully in science. We use many telescopes, and we show them images and different data to try to get the point across. Many of the faculty here are experts in simulations, so they use some of the largest computers in the world to simulate certain phenomena, and in order for the students to understand. And we also encourage the students to do their own simulations. And so this is in the afternoons, they often do projects for that.
A normal day consists of getting up and having breakfast at your hotel. Then you come over here. You have class, and then in the afternoon you start work in peer groups that you form here, and that's how we spend our days. At night, maybe we all catch a film, then you do the same the next day. Sometimes we play sports, study, or work. It's a great experience.
I'm a graduate student in astronomy working on my PhD. I'm studying stellar clusters in the Andromeda Galaxy, which is the nearest large spiral to the Milky Way. And so this is school is all about stellar clusters, so I thought it would be a great opportunity to learn more and to meet lots of interesting other astronomy people.
And what is your favourite part of the universe?
Favorite part? Maybe I think it's comet. Comet, because the previous project of mine is about comet is discovered from Taiwanese people, and it's the first comet discovered by Taiwanese. So, yes.
In addition to the history of the universe, students also learn about the 400 plus years of the specula.
This painting shows the history of the Vatican Observatory. We started when Pope Gregory XIII reformed the calendar in 1582, and he was the first one to hire astronomers to work for him to work out how the calendar should work. That's Pope Gregory XIII. Astronomers continued working in Rome at the Roman College, and the greatest of those astronomers was Angelo Secchi. Angelo Secchi was the man who first systematically measured the spectra of stars. In this way, instead of just measuring where the stars were, he was measuring what they're made out of, what their temperatures were, how different kinds of stars are distributed in the galaxy, and indeed how one star evolves into a different kind of star. He invented the field we now call astrophysics. So today, most of the observing with telescopes is done in Arizona or in other national or international observatories around the world. What we do here are the other kinds of work that astronomers do. Because the fact is, you only spend about 10 days a year at a telescope. The rest of the time you're in front of a computer screen trying to understand what you observed, trying to plan what you're going to do the next time. And all of that computer work can be done here. We also have a wonderful library here. And my own particular work, the meteorites, are kept here in Castel Gandolfo. And so I tend to spend more time here working on the meteorites. And when I go back to America, it would be to either speak with colleagues or to use the telescopes. Pope Benedict XVI actually came here to open up these new quarters, because as you can see, it's all quite new in this building. We've only been in this particular location since 2009. Before that, we were actually in the Papal Palace itself. But again, with all the busy work that's happening with the Pope's activities in the Papal Palace and our own activities in the summertime, it was recognized that for security and for our convenience, we needed to have a little bit of separation. So he's on one side of his gardens, we're on the other side.
It's a truly wonderful experience. I think that there are few places in the world where you can find so much ethnic diversity in one single place. And on top of it, we also speak the same language. Not the same tongue, but the same language of astronomy and science.
Welcome back. You're watching Vaticano. Meet the Carters and the priest who brought them into the church as a family.
I'm Patrick Carter. This is my lovely wife Tanya, daughter Erin Olivia. This is our priest, Father Savoy. My eldest son, Patrick Jennings. My youngest son, Jacob Carter. And we've had a wonderful experience converting to the Catholic faith. I was a Protestant minister for approximately 3 to 4 years with the Methodist Church. Became disillusioned, left. We bounced around from different churches here and there. Really had a struggle finding the true faith. But thanks to my youngest son here, who was reading some very interesting materials and such, he just pretty much begged us to go to the Catholic Church. And we did. And I guess it's been, what, 3 years ago? 3 years ago, we all converted to the faith. We all went into the church. Father Savoy was there in the little Annunciation Parish in little Monroeville, Alabama, and we were blown away. We left, got out, we just sat in the car, and seriously, wasn't it? It was just silence. And
the only word we said was, wow.
Of course, we've said wow a lot during this trip, too.
Well, I became pastor of their home parish before they became Catholic, a little small town in Alabama called Monroeville. It's quite famous, I found out after I got there, because of this great book called To Kill a Mockingbird. And after I was there a few weeks, I kept receiving these phone calls from someone named Mrs. Carter. And I was confusing her with someone else, and when I finally spoke with them, they told me their desire to become Catholic. We kind of did a fast track. You know, I introduced them into the Catholic faith. They gave me a lot more credit than due. I think I was just being pastor of a small country parish, and divine providence put us in each other's paths at the same time. And I was excited as they were, to bring them into the faith, especially coming from their background, being so deep into the love of Christianity, becoming a minister, you know, loving the church tradition of Christianity, which is where they were all coming from. So it was a reciprocal relationship, I think, we had as we all kind of grew together. And of course, no sooner than they become Catholic, I wanted them to come to see Rome. We tried a couple of years, and it never panned out until this particular moment. Everything came together, and it was a thrill to know that I was going to be able to show them around Rome. Rome is my favorite city. I come every year that I can, and it's been a remarkable experience to have them here and point them out and run them ragged, because they're quite tired.
When we came to Rome, it was like the final, we've converted, we are Catholic, we are so happy, and this is like the icing on the cake. We're home, we see what it is. This is our home. All roads lead to Rome.
Catholics do Catholic tradition. It's all about tradition and scripture and magisterium. Protestants don't have that. They're very, very light. Like whipped cream, and the church is like, you know, a giant wedding cake, so to speak.
This is the proof that the Catholic Church was the church, and always has been and always will be.
It's just been amazing to see everything. It helps reinforce your faith. It also helps you, see the universal church more. Protestantism is so strong in America, but you really see the universality of the Catholic Church. You have people from all over the world going to Mass in St. Peter's, and there's Mass. We saw a group in Polish. There were people doing the Tridentine Mass, all different languages going on early in the morning, and it's just, it's so beautiful. It's such a gorgeous thing, I have so much, we're both sharing, all of us together are sharing the body of Christ, so I mean, it's just a beautiful thing when you see that we're united in that way. Just a beautiful, beautiful thing.
It has been incredible. As a Protestant minister, you had hints at the whole truth, but there are always pieces of the pie that just didn't quite make sense. It wasn't quite all there. But I can say this with my whole heart, and I mean it with every ounce of being, that it has all come together, and it's because of the Catholic faith. And we owe a great deal to this man, because he really took his time and answered innumerable silly questions. But
I just think they're going to continue to grow in the faith. They have enlightened many people in whose paths they have crossed. I think they've challenged a lot of their friends and contemporaries. I think God has them exactly where He wants them, because they have been very efficacious towards many others. So I hope to see this one hopefully be a priest one day. If not, I think he will probably be a daddy of several priests if he doesn't become a priest. Patrick, I think he truly has a call, if not to the ministry of priesthood, definitely to be a father in some sort.
And so the Swiss Guard of South Alabama returned home with the memories of a visit to the See of Peter and filled with a Catholic faith they can't help but share.